Part of our biggest problem in Jamaica is the level of hypocrisy that we entertain sometimes. The matter of domestic dispute and domestic violence spread across all political divides. As we speak now, if we are to insist, and which we should do, that George Wright be removed from the parliament, in all honesty, Philip Palwell must be removed, Natalie Nita Headley must be removed, Michael Phillips must be removed. And why? All three is now currently or would have had similar incident as George Wright. Right? Natalie Nita Headley was accused of beating a man. Right? Michael Phillips was accused of beating his wife. And the same thing for George Wright. He was also accused of beating, whether it's his common law wife or marital wife, I don't know. Right? So if George Wright are to be held at a certain standard, then why aren't we talking about the other three members who sit in Parliament? As we speak today, Philip Palwell is sitting among all 62, himself making up the numbers to be 63. He's sitting in Parliament when we have a 15-year-old corruption case in the form of Trafigura, right? Which they have fought to the Privy Council to prevent the truth from coming out. And he's sitting in Parliament. I don't hear Cliff Hughes making up a bag of noise saying that Philip Palwell must be removed from the Parliament. Do you think that corruption is less of a charge than domestic abuse? Well, Mr. Hughes and all the others who sit every day for the last 3-4 weeks believing that they can convince the Jamaican people that George Wright is worse than Michael Phillip, or George Wright is worse than Natalie Nita Headley, or George Wright is in a worse position than Philip Palwell, well, you have our next guest coming. Because we believe that the country needs to take a stand against all levels of violence, whether it's against man, woman, or child. And we believe that corruption must be dealt with across the board. So if we can agree that George Wright, based on allegations, there's no charge against him, should be removed, then we should remove Natalie Nita Headley. We should remove Michael Phillips because they have similar charges against them. A matter of fact, they were charged and hauled before the courts. George Wright has not faced a judge until today. But because of the moral stance that the Jamaica Labour Party has taken on the issue, he's been removed. And we must applaud that move by the JLP, and we must applaud that move by the cabinet to have him sit out. But we must take it a step further. And if we're going to clean your yard, you have to clean the whole thing. So if the Parliament is to be rid of people like George Wright, then there are 3 others sitting in there that must be removed. And we call on the Prime Minister. Our Prime is our responsibility. When the Prime Minister was sworn in 2016, him saying don't need the PNP to hold him accountable. He need Labour rights to hold him accountable. Well, I am a proud Labour right, and I will stand up and hold you accountable, Mr. Prime Minister. You need to take action and speak up against Philip Palwell sitting in Parliament, speak up against Michael Phillips sitting in Parliament, and speak up against Natalie Nita Headley sitting in Parliament. They have no moral authority to be sitting there just as much as George Wright. All these civil society groups coming out of the woodworks, right? Because there's an allegation of domestic violence against a particular female associated to an MP. Where were these so-called civil society groups when Michael Phillips was charged, not accused? He was hauled before the courts for beating his wife. Where were they? Where were they when Natalie Nita Headley slapped a man to his face and was hauled before the courts? Huh? Where were they when we have a sitting member of Parliament who is a part of the Trafigura scandal, which bedeviled us for the last 15 years. 15 years. And he's still sitting in Parliament today. Part of the problem that Jamaica faces is hypocrisy. Political hypocrisy. We conveniently tackle issues that has political implications, and we're not being honest with ourselves. Philip Palwell Michael Phillips, Natalie Nita Headley is just as guilty in public opinion as George Wright. And if George Wright cannot sit among us, Michael Phillips should not sit, Natalie Nita Headley should not sit, and certainly Philip Palwell should not sit.